That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and just cover some of that. So we covered a few things, and one of the important talks was actually about delegation, right?
Hmm.
So let me just cover that again with you, since while we wait for maybe the rest of the teams to show up, and we can talk about delegation. So, Rafik, generally, how do you feel about delegation?
Delegation for me is good because tomorrow I will speak with Vita. I think it's about the what is the best practice of hospitality and what kind of host do you need. That is the what is called the request from Vita, right?
Okay.
So I think it's already put on the this part and also the hospitality chapter,
Okay.
the hospitality best practice paper.
Okay.
So that is my because I combine from Chris from Anti the paper, so I combine for become a one paper. So that is already made.
Okay.
So but delegation, I think delegation is good for me. So
Okay. I think so too.
yeah, but it's, I'm quite hard so because but if if not somebody because the concern this month is we are going to cloud, so it's not really like like a baby anymore. The owner that is our that is called one our vision, right? So, but is the concern of mine is because same like 2 days ago, so Villa Camila
Villa
before
Camila.
Canggu Nadi
Okay.
want to work with us. They also work with Zuzu. Maybe you know Zuzu, right? Yeah. And Zuzu is and I asked him what is Zuzu doing. Zuzu said they will take the commission. I think it's 8% less than us. So I think it's but the service is more better is us. So that's why they choose us. So I will next week me and Egi will uh, what's called meeting with the owner. The owner is actually from Chinese,
Okay.
and that is not the point. So the point is like this. The point is if we don't engage with the owner, for example, same like me, Chandra, even though Windy now is a support for squad 2B, I was informed like checking time to the owner, and then if they're asking, we reply. So I'm afraid if we okay, we can use figures, and they understand the figures, but that is our what is called conversation begin from us to owner every day. I want to keep relationship between us and the owner.
Yep.
For example, always engage, even though we don't meet them, so engage from the WhatsApp group. So they feel okay. They feel we are concerned about their property.
Okay. Got it.
So yeah.
Okay. Very
So
good point. Rafik, what I'm gonna do? Okay. I was hoping I had some headphones, but I don't. So I'll address your question here.
yeah.
It's actually not the same thing. So, thank you. So, I think what we're seeing is this: delegating is not like necessarily disengaging. It's completely the different thing. So, what we're talking about in terms of delegation in this context is not with the owner. It's actually with your team, Rafik. So when we talk about, okay, all right, should you engage, should you delegate? It's more like what you need to delegate to your current team. Like if you take a look at what you're currently doing and you reflect on, okay, is what I currently do something that I did a year ago? Is it something I did 2 years ago? Is it something I did 3 years ago? And if you increasingly find that the answers to that is yes, then that means you haven't delegated enough to other people yet. So in that particular regard, what's happening is that this is an evolution right now, like the bigger thing, and our relationship with the owner will evolve. So these are new things, and I think this is where we need Rafik's vision and a hospitality vision around that to guide the owners through this transition period. Now, the delegation part is more related to things that other people can do for you so that you can work on the new problems. And so learning how to do that is essentially, I think, a big challenge, and we discussed it last time with the other people in the team, Bayu, Diva, Nunli, Wyan and I. We all have these hesitations to delegating. And in the case of an owner relationship case, I understand that case, but I think that's not quite delegating. That's more of a form of how we want to engage with the owner.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I don't talk about delegation yet, sir.
Oh, this was just about owner engagement.
This is about the
okay. Sure. Owner engagement and bigger. Okay.
Yeah. So delegation for me is very important. So because I was the senior here. So the delegation that have been done for, I think it's 2 weeks ago. I already delegate to Windy about the support to be, so that is delegation I know.
Fantastic.
And then, and then the second one, I delegate they, like Windy and Eva, to in charge for all hosting at Canggu.
Really? Okay.
So I mentor them, I monitor them.
Okay.
I monitor them, and so like now, if you know that they already make Canggu Bible.
Okay.
Yeah, they make Canggu Bible, and I said, you take the feedback from the start and everything, and then contact to me.
Okay.
That
great.
is my delegation.
Okay.
But I'm still like a helicopter, so I still monitor.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So let's go into that part then, since the discussion is mostly around delegation. So what we've discovered, Rafik, was actually there's a pretty good amount of material here. I'll share the link with you. It's from this website called learningoreilly.com. Okay, and I'll show you.
Yes, I already opened the lady, right?
Yes, the lady who talks about. Yeah.
I cannot unmute, sir.
Can you show me what you see? Try logging in. Share your screen to me, and let me help you get that thing started.
Okay. Where should I open?
Okay, so just start with opening this link first. I'll share this link to you, Rafik, and you'll see it in the chat group. Okay. Okay, so click on that link, and then I'll share the login information with you so you can log in.
Okay, this is, I will share my screen.
Sure.
This one, right?
That's right. And go ahead and hit start.
Yeah.
Oh, you haven't signed in yet.
I'm a signing.
Yes, sir. That's the issue. Yeah. Okay. Once you get there, the sign in is. Let's see. Here, I'll get
Google.
Yeah. Sign in with Google. Yeah. And you're in. And just go. Oh no. You'll need to go back. So you'll need to hit back again. Okay. And let me share with you the login details. The sign-in details should be this. You can copy it. It's careers@bukitvistabali.com.
Yeah. This one. Yes.
Okay.
And then password.
And then the password is this.
BP password. Yeah.
Give that a shot and see if it starts working for you.
This one. What? I cannot sign in, sir.
Okay, let me go ahead and just double check that password. See if I made a mistake. Oh, sorry, it's 2019. 2019.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, bulan sekarang bukan tanggal kapan dia itunya. Nggak relatif ke dia bookingnya. Tadinya ini bingung. Terus karena sekarang udah Oktober ya.
Yeah, this one, right?
Yes, sir. Go ahead and save that. Now you have it. Now you can
Yeah.
watch and see all the types of things that they talk about there. So
Yeah.
if you like, let's say this one was the most interesting one actually. There's one that essentially covers it.
This one?
Here, I'll share my screen over to you.
Okay, okay. This one.
This is one of the fastest links. If you want to find this link graphic, all you have to do is just go to the Leadership Guild paper, right?
Yeah.
And click on that. And try clicking on that first. Open up the Leadership Guild paper and click
Yeah.
Chapter 6, Typical Problems and How to Solve Them. I read this, and this is gold. This is absolute gold. The reason it's absolute gold is because it covers all the problems that we normally face, right? So
Yeah.
essentially there is 5 steps to effective delegation, and the first step is deciding, you got to decide what you want to delegate. So
Yeah.
when we hand over something to somebody, the context, the package has to be assigned. How big is it? How tall is it? How wide? How heavy? So when you delegate, sometimes you have to say, okay, what does covering Canggu mean? Does it mean you have to see every guest? Does it mean you have to solve all the different types of problems that happen? Does it mean you talk to the owners? Does it mean you cover all the inquiries and reservations? So we really have to define what it is that the person has to do. You should also define how long they're going to be expected to do it. I need you to do this for 7 days, and as much as possible, give that context so that you reduce the amount of uncertainty. So that part is pretty strong. The second part is, of course, you got to find the right person. If you delegate to the wrong person, then you're not going to be surprised later that the results are not what you expect. So this is part of hiring now. This is part of community building, employee engagement. So really developing the right person for what you want to delegate. The third part is assign the task in a clear manner. When you delegate, don't be confusing about it. Be like, look, I'm nominating you to cover this role. This role needs to be covered today. Do you accept the nomination? So it should never be like, oh, hey, just take care of this for me. Because then that's confusing. What is this and what am I doing for how long? So assign and make that transfer clear. The helicopter part you were saying, monitor the progress and provide feedback. So important. So important.
Right.
If you don't monitor the progress and you don't provide the feedback, the delegate doesn't really know if they're doing the thing correctly. In fact, they might just have this FOMO feeling, like maybe I'm doing all this wrong. And so, as I think a senior person, the reason why we use the Socratic method quite frequently is to just get that process in, so that we ask them, okay, so what did you do today? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? What was the thought process there? Why did you use this idea instead of that idea? So it's all a form of monitoring. It's all a form of understanding what the delegate is doing. And then the last part is we need to evaluate. And in many ways, Rafik, the entire process of hiring, training, selecting, getting a person ready, promotion review, it's really just delegation. Most of it is delegation. So delegation is almost a higher principle than hiring.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking about how we delegate. If you approach, let's say, delegation as your primary objective, then you'll find that everything kind of starts lining up. That when you hire, you're thinking about what are the roles that I need somebody to cover, to replace my roles on? What are the type of people that can do that role? And how am I going to transfer this over to them? So if you approach, let's say, your current positions with just the objective of delegating, then each day that will help actually everything. That will help the entire process. So delegation is a really, really important thing. We've been forgetting to put emphasis on that as much as we should. Okay, so we always know this stuff, right? We know that there's a risk, bad outcomes. We know that maybe there's a failure on the delegate's end, or because something we forget to do, or Maybe there's outside factors. It's just happens. Nobody's fault. But we have to be prepared for these because there is essentially trouble that happens. So there is this. I'm going to show you kind of some cases that have happened, and these cases are very real. They're very practical, and let's discuss them. So the first case is about resistance. So I'd love to help with that. Oscar tells his boss, but I'm really snowed under right now. Could somebody else handle it? And this is Oscar's usual response whenever his boss Janice tries to delegate some special assignment to him. Janice knows that she can simply order him to do the job, but after all, she is his boss. But when the tasks fell outside of a person's job description and the work plan too clean, Janice always tries to negotiate these extra assignments with her subordinates. I don't like to think that I'm piling things onto them. All right? So you feel guilty giving somebody something to do. It's outside their job description, so on and so forth. So the problem is it appears that Oscar has Janice well trained. So it's actually not the other way around. It's not like we're training somebody else. They're training us. They're learning how to control the work from being delegated to them. She'll delegate the work to somebody else or do it herself if he simply says, I'm snowed under. So this creates an unhealthy situation. And if Janice accepts the work that she should delegate to Oscar, she's not managing. So she's following the path of least resistance and then delegates to somebody else who's more willing. So then there's no equity in the workplace. Whoever just always says I'm available, well, they get the work to do. So this also allows this person to avoid the heavy work, and then just by saying they're busy. And that will create lack of employee satisfaction later, right? Yes. And also, the delegate won't get new skills that the assignments could have given to them, because they're always avoiding these experience packages. So the solution is actually, like what you said, you should monitor what the current workload is. You say that if the delegate says that they don't have enough time, is it true? If it's true, how is this person using their time? Perhaps there should be some time management training.
Yes. Yeah.
This case happened in Yvonne's case. So when we're looking at Yvonne, we're looking at his promotion review. We saw that essentially there was we all agreed that Yvonne's time management could be improved. And the case was actually pretty funny. Let me show you this. So we started looking and said, all right, Yvonne said, I'm so busy, I'm doing reviews, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I said, okay, let's take a look and actually block that out. Let's take a look at seeing what your time blocks are for. So essentially we realized, yes, doing reviews does take time, but you have actually a lot of time on your hands. You have almost 21 chunks of time every week. 21 chunks of 3 to 4 hours every week. And we know that essentially we don't meet all our guests either. So what is this time being used to do? So once we started seeing that, we saw that there was actually more time, not just to do review management, which shows up all the time, but also time to learn things, participate in guild activities, be on time for all these different things. And there was no real excuse anymore for not having any time. But we could only do that after we could see what the schedule was like. So that was a pretty effective way of overcoming this problem, right? Is this person sandbagging? Are they just saying, hey, I don't have time, I can't do that? Or do they really have time management issues? So that was situation number one. How applicable was that in your case? Have you ever come upon this issue before?
Yeah, it's before. If you said like, it's an example like the pan case, for example, you said, thing is, it's about how you manage your time.
Yes.
It's not timing is managing you, but
yes.
You are managing your time. Before, as you know, I'm covering all the review before 2016 until 2018. Mm-hmm. I can do still hosting, I can do everything, I can do make a case list. Mm-hmm. That is depend on timing management. But I know it. Every person is not the same.
I know.
Every person is not the same. That's why I delegate. Same like Jenny said. I think it's Jenny need to find a very correct person.
Yes. So we need to find the correct person. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, let's say it isn't a case of where, let's say, we should move it to the person who's more willing. Because if we move the work to the person who's more willing, we don't train Oscar in this particular case to learn the new skills, and the work always falls on the person who's, yeah, sure, I'll take it. we had this case too with Chris. Remember, Chris would always accept too much volunteer work. So the problem with that over time was nobody else got that experience. Nobody else got the opportunity to learn how to do reservations at the same level that Chris did. So it's not always right to just say this person is the person and then I always give the work to this person, right? You're gonna have big teams. You're gonna have teams of 15, 20, 30 people. The work should not always stack on the one person who's willing to do it. It should be distributed a bit more equally. We talked about time management. I think this can be a good metric or can be a good exercise for you and the person you're delegating to understand time management. What are you doing? What are you doing Monday morning from 9 to 12? What are you doing in the afternoons from 1 to 5, right? Are you really doing review management for 4 hours? Come on, let's be real, right? That can't take 4 hours. Are you really doing revenue management for this hours? So are you really doing the review management? So once again, these things we have to be realistic about. If you're doing hosting for 4 hours, what have you really done? How many activities have you completed? How many rooms have you inspected? How many guests have you seen? I see about usually 1 to 2 check-ins, so that can't take 4 hours, right? So once again, once I think we reveal actually how much time there is, and we're not vague, we're transparent about time management, then there's more of a tendency to fix the problem and less of a tendency to say, I just don't have enough time. Okay, great. So let's take a look at the next one. So, this is funny. The need to run to the boss with every problem. So unlike Oscar, Cleo is always willing to accept responsibility for a task, but her understanding of the phrase accept responsibility is limited. It's certainly different from what her boss understands. So she's driving me crazy, the boss says to himself. It seems like she's in my office 10 times a day with some problem. I'm not sure what to do about this. Where can I find that? How do you want me to handle this? I should either delegate to someone else or do the job myself. Frustrating, right? You delegate to somebody else and they just come back to you with problems all the time. So the Cleo's willingness to accept delegated tasks is commendable. That's a good thing. But she's clearly failing to take responsibility for the work. So occasional requests for advice, instruction are fair enough, and even expected. But Cleo seems to be pushing too much of the responsibility back on her boss's shoulders. Perhaps she's afraid she will fail at the task. Perhaps she feels she does not have the authority to make certain decisions. Whatever the reason, her continual appeals for solutions and decisions are causing her boss to shoulder some of the responsibility and depriving Cleo of that experience of succeeding at the task. How often do you see this, Rafik?
This one. This case is I get it from 2 persons.
Yes.
First from Danny and second from Debbie, right?
Yeah.
So you know it. So the first Danny I give Balana. I trust him. I give Balana blah 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 blah. And then he always come back to me. What should I do? What should I do? And then same as this Debbie as well. I trust Changu to Debbie 1, 2, 3 fails and everything. But on this particular case, start from I think from squad choosing cup and also hospital choosing cup. So I understand now. So if I delegate someone, I think I will give like 3 changes. First you fail, second one you fail, and then the 3 one you fail.
So okay, put a limit to
I will take limit because it will become a time bomb. So.
Okay,
so,
great.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Then, from now like me, I never take the reservation anymore because Chandra already take the delegation for me. So BSWNJ, Debbie and Chandra. So I just monitor and check is clear or not and converted or not. So my my duty now is how to make what is called a paper or something to train people. So.
Yes, sir.
So
what are you using? Rafik, what are you using to understand if people are performing well on reservations?
Converted the booking.
Oh, good. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good.
That is, if they already converted the booking, pre-approved and everything, they asking about everything the guest asking about everything and then converted, that is mean good.
Okay,
But
fantastic.
it always on going to reservation guild,
Mm-hmm.
like ostrich, pet cemetery, that is
That's fine,
not, yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
I know.
Let's go to Bayu. Bayu, do you ever feel this case? You delegate to somebody, but they just keep on coming back to you with every problem?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Okay. And what was sort of like your response to that? How did you react to that?
First, actually, I treat the problem like I don't know about the problem itself.
Ah, okay. Like you're a beginner again.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So basically, involve them to how I would think about that. So instead of giving the answer, so I just ask another question.
Socratic method.
Yeah, basically, if what is an example? There's a lot of example, especially in content regarding toolkit.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what I would start to answer that is actually by questioning why would this happen? Maybe this is something to do with this. Maybe something to do. So exploring all the possibilities together. So next time, basically saying that I'm not I don't have any answer to all of the question, and what I do is actually looking for the answer every time there's a problem. So they should do that as well.
Got it. Okay, so that's actually a pretty interesting technique. Bayu, instead of sharing the fruit, which is the end answer, he goes back and he kind of walks along with the person, the delegate, through the process of how to find a solution, with the hope that eventually they are solution-minded, thought process-driven, and they can figure out the solution itself. How will you know if that worked?
They stop asking me.
Well, that could be that they just don't feel like asking again.
But the problem is doesn't repeat, right?
Okay.
So basically the end goal would be like that person understand that they can do better than me. Like,
Okay.
Right? They if they ask me, but every time they ask me, what they get is another question, like just a walkthrough of what they would do. So next time they probably have the initiative to do that themselves without even asking me.
Okay, got it. I would agree with Bayu that should be the end outcome, but I don't agree that the key result should look like people ask you less, because that key result could be that people are just not asking, but they're still equally confused. It has to be a little bit more tighter. It has to be like where you're looking at, let's say, can they solve this problem? Do they have any evidence of being able to solve the problem? Or the best way is actually, maybe I was thinking, come back to me the next time you figure out, next time you're able to solve this problem on your own, come back and tell me. All right? Because then that would indicate a positive result, that the thought process had already been done, and they go, oh yeah, you know, Bayu, like that last time you told me how to do this, we had this new problem, and I totally remembered, and I used it. You'd be like, okay, that's great. You know, that would indicate a positive signal rather than a lack of a negative signal. Okay, so this one, I have one person right now that does this, and I'll illustrate what this looks like. So currently, Ara asked me a lot of questions about stuff. So I always try to delegate some of essentially what we're doing in HR to her. And part of it is things I think that, for example, she should know how to do. And perhaps actually we have the career fair this year at STP, right? So we've done that for many years, for I think 3 years already. Ara was there last year. So I told her, hey, can you organize that? And then she comes back to me and says, okay, can you tell me in details how I should help with this? So I'm gonna delegate that to you. Please figure it out. All right? Think of how to plan the event. What are the prints, the rundown, the staffing list? This is what we did last year. Essentially, we went through this entire process already. You were there, and just do that entire process again. And then it comes back to me, and then she asks, well, what about STP? Do we need to know their rundown too as well? And I go, no, this is a booth. So all we need to do is just do what we did last year. She says, okay, I'm working on it. It's 2 days again like last year, right? So I kind of smile at myself and at Ara for this. It feels a little bit like, come on, right? Why do you need to ask so many questions? But I remember what my problem is now. I didn't really explain what I need to be delegated, right? I didn't explain what I meant, what my expectations are. Can you handle this event? Well, what does handle this event really mean? What's the key result that we're looking for? What's the outcome? How should one begin? First, examine their own part in the drama. Has he given the delegate a task for which she's not prepared by experience or instruction? Has he failed to give her authority to make decisions as needed? If either are the case, then it has not been properly delegated, and it's your responsibility as a boss to find what the solution is. If the delegate is properly prepared for the task, then the boss should resist attempts to put monkey on his back. That is, do things and make decisions for which she took responsibility for when she accepted the assignment. The next time she comes to him for a decision, he might handle it like this. Well, about the assignment you wanted me to do, I'll have to organize a meeting between two people in the purchasing and one of the inventory managers. They're fighting over whose fault the problem is. Should I set up the meeting on the third floor in the purchasing department, or over in building C where the inventory have their offices, or somewhere else in neutral territory? Boss says that's an interesting problem. So which one do you think is best? You're responsible for setting the meeting, Cleo. It is your choice, not mine. True, but what would you do if you were me? If I were you, I'd go back to my office, think about the pros and cons of each choice, and then pick the best one. Any other questions? After a few encounters like this, the delegate will get the point and take greater responsibility for delegated tasks. Doing so will make her a better employee and further the career opportunities. So attempts by employees to upwardly delegate their roles, either routine or assignments, may be justified. Their schedules may be overloaded, and they may lack the necessary know-how. But you have to decide if these attempts to push the work onto you have merit and address them. But not by taking the work back, but fixing the underlying problems that prevent the employees from succeeding at the task. Okay, how's that for a solution? Is that a pretty good solution? Yeah? Solid? Okay, all right. So next one is biting off more than you can chew. So we discussed the type of person who can't say no. Not that kind of people. When you're asking for a volunteer to take on a task and everyone starts looking at his and her shoes and avoids eye contact, this well-meaning person always steps forward. Not that she has time to do the work. She's such a good employee that she routinely takes on more than anyone could reasonably handle. Not that she's the only person capable of doing the job. This person steps forward out of a sense of duty when no one else will. Somebody has to do it, she will tell herself. So the problem is you should cherish this type of diligent employee, especially if her capabilities match her dedication. However, you do risk burning this person out if you turn too often to her. It's an often easy thing to do. A household manager is tempted to approach one person in the group who will accept yet another job without complaint. It's so easy. Unfortunately, you'll have this person overcommitted, deadlines will be missed, or important work will be submitted, or incomplete work will be submitted. Okay, does anybody have any relation to this particular problem before? Let's go to Rafik. Is there a person that often volunteers immediately for work on your experience?
No, sir.
So, when you say, hey, look, I need somebody to help me with this, nobody steps forward and say, yes, I'll do that for you, Rafik.
I think it's because I'm not delegate, sir.
Okay.
And I'm still, because on my side, my personal side, for example, if I can do it and have the time for that, I will do it, sir. But I think it's more than operational things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
More about the operational thing. It's not about like now, for example, I delegate step by step, sir. It's not like, oh, you do all my job. It's not like, for example, now I already released my job to check the reservation.
Okay, great.
It's going to Chandra and also to Windy now.
Okay.
It's like that. But now still, because it's all the owner of Canggu still know me. Mm-hmm. So it's about the meeting the owner still me.
Okay.
So for the next maybe Windy and everything. So
okay.
Andy will
so these volunteers are people that you assign to do work, but they never volunteer up and okay. What about you, buddy? Have you ever seen this type of behavior before?
Yeah.
With who?
Me.
Oh.
It's me.
Okay. So Bayu always volunteers too much to step into roles. Okay. So what do you think was the problem there?
Actually, it's hard. So
Were
first,
you the delegate? You were giving the work, or you were receiving the work?
receiving?
Okay, receiving the work. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
So basically, like most of the time, I think I can give a better solution, right? So I think I will volunteer for that. But yeah, there's so many things. Then it's like it's difficult to limit yourself. Right? Like I know I can do this better than anyone else. The problem is I have like 10 of these things, right? So none of them will be finished, right? Or just not all of them will be finished.
Okay.
So that's from my side where I'm receiving the work.
Okay.
But I think for the person that always I think I have encountered one. Actually, it's Denny, right?
Yeah. Always
Yeah.
volunteered for things that they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I see that in Denny. So he's always excited about something, volunteering to do the work. But the problem is he cannot balance between the duty and between duties basically.
Yeah. And I saw this, of course, with Chris. So this was entirely Chris's case here, where Chris would always be the first to volunteer and the last to deliver. So this was deadlines always being missed, service levels dropped, and there was no. It was always tempting to always say, okay, thank you. I need a volunteer. Thank you for volunteering, Chris. But I think it's okay. Let's explore where the problem was. So the solution in this particular case is handle this person with care. They're valuable, and assuming they're smart and active learner, they have tremendous promotion potential. Okay. Delegate enough work to keep them busy, but not so burdened that they'll burn out. Be sure to delegate some fun projects to them, not just the work that all her colleagues have rejected or avoided. Stage tasks in a way that provide progressive learning and career development. Coach as needed to enhance workplace skills and the learning experience. Get her into formal training programs as the situation dictates. Make sure you reward publicly so that others will see that volunteering has benefits in the short and long-term run. Pretty tidy, huh? Are we doing that well? Let's go to Rafik. Do we do that? Do we reward our volunteers?
Yes, sir, but I'm not give a reward to a volunteer who's delegate by me. That is, so for example, I'll give you example. So like Chandra, for example, right?
Yeah.
I give example. Chandra didn't know about how to check the reservation for the next day, and then I said, Chandra, please check the reservation because same or this solution. I think she's smart. She can do that like that. So I know from she write on the Airbnb message to the guest, and then she do it. But I'm not giving reward, but I give more job.
Okay.
Why I do that? Because if you delegate, because I from my side, if you delegate someone to doing a part of your job, for example, just monitor for me, for example, like Windy do it now, check the reservation and everything. I would like that is become her habit,
Okay.
and then the next job will be her project.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Because if a habit is more easy, sir.
Got it.
It's
Just
more
like get
easy,
used to the
yeah, it's
workload.
easy to-
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Funny. All right. Buddy, what do you think? Are we doing this right? Right.
I'm not sure actually. So that also have a risk for what do you call it? Like some kind of apprentice. So
Jane, can you a little bit turn down the music?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think
Which side? On the receiver side or
yeah,
on the
on the receiver side. So
Okay.
so it will always look like that you need someone or that is your path, not your choice, but given, right?
Okay, got it. So there's no freedom to explore. It's
Yeah.
almost like we're creating a domesticated animal rather than
Yeah.
a wild animal. Okay, all right. I do see that. Yeah, there is some nurturing stuff that happens here. Okay, in certain aspect, I think it is about, how would I say, like incentives, as we were talking about before, reward. These rewards can not just be money, but also recognition. I think recognition is a really strong reward. Having somebody go through this stuff and having nobody see their work is, we have a word for that in English. It's called an unsung hero. It's a hero that doesn't ever get any praise. So I think in a lot of cases that, let's say, just recognizing, hey, thank you for volunteering and thank you for completing your volunteered work, rather than thank you for volunteering and not getting anything done. That is how you set culture. That is how you define what success looks like. And that, I think, is a very personal and touching and a good reward. What do you think, Buddy, can make this better in terms of solution?
Maybe ask the vision, like, oh, you're volunteering right now. So
Right.
what is your vision of success look like?
Great. Ask their vision, and a person who will work towards their vision is probably going to maybe surprise you too. Maybe they have a vision that extends beyond the current thing. And this is really, really valuable for all of us as leaders. I think as a leader, you're trying to identify talent. You're trying to see who actually has the correct motivations, visions, understanding, that capacity to take it beyond where it is. And if you identified that, then you could have discovered a gem. You could have discovered, hey, great, your vision is really spot on. It's actually going to bring us to where we need to go. How can I support your vision? Right? And be willing to necessarily step aside if a person has a stronger, more in-depth vision. And say, okay, why don't I, instead of just trying to pull you from the front, why don't I supply you from the back? I'll be your logistics and you go to the front and you keep on going. In that particular sense, I think you have actually found a better position to support this delegate. Okay, great. Talent discovery, talent enrichment. Okay, connect your best people with mentors. So, all right. The inability to effectively collaborate with others. So Carter's a new guy at the organization. He's made a good impression on you, his manager. This guy's a hard worker. He does a great job with his market research. He's a fine individual contributor. I think I'll toss him something difficult and unusual and see how he handles it. So nothing about your delegated task is beyond Carter's proven technical skills. Well, almost nothing. You asked him to design a plan for researching the market for a new product concept. So he said, Carter, you need to get some project cost figures from the production department, talk to the ad people about the level of promotional support required, and then work with the sales department to identify 3 to 4 market test cities. I'm sure that these people will give you all the data information you need. Well, you think that the job is well in hand, but are surprised to learn at your first progress meeting